Great question here. The 86 Mets versus the 96 Yankees. Who do I have? Now, as a Yankee fan, first and foremost, and I do like the Mets. I respect the Mets. That Mets team, I did like a whole lot. Uh, I rooted for them to beat Boston. You talk about compelling stories. They'd won 108 games that year. They looked like they were going to be a dynasty. I mean, it looked like Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry were going to be the 1-2 punch. They were going to be the Shaq and Kobe of baseball. I mean, yeah, pitcher and a fielder because they looked like they were surefire Hall of Famers, dynamic duo. Interesting story. 10 years later, they returned to the other side of town and played for the Yankees. Strawberry did win the World Series with the Yankees. I think Gooden got a ring. He didn't. I don't know if he finished. I don't think he finished the whole season in memory, but it was interesting how the coin flipped, but they weren't the same guys. Obviously, you understand situations occurred, but that Mets team in '86. I still remember being in my grandma's house, and I remember when that ball, Mookie Wilson hit that ball and went through Buckner's legs. And it's a shame that Bill Buckner had to be ridiculed because it just happened. But I was so happy to beat Roger Clemens. And who knew I'd be rooting for Roger Clemens years later? But at that time, beating Boston was the cat's meow. Ray Boogie Knight hitting that ball. Ron Darling, Sid Fernandez, and Lenny Dykstra, who was basically a triple junior whopper, broke Pete Rose, but he looked like he was going to be something there for a minute, for a moment, you know. Keith Hernandez, who was always front and center, being with the right place, right time. Davey Johnson was the manager. The Mets were always kind of amazing when they won. I got to admit that. There was something about the Mets at the old Shea when they won, and it's something about them that definitely triggered that reaction. So, that was a very compelling time if you're a baseball fan. There was nothing like that one. Now, fast forward to 96. The Yankees going up against Atlanta Braves. Atlanta had been the most dominant team in baseball. I said the Buffalo Bills of baseball in the 90s because it seemed like every year they were in the World Series. And they came up short or they lose this or that, but they were there. They had won the World Series in 95. They beat Cleveland. Dave Justice, who later became a Yankee, came up big. But the Yankees were down 2-0. Remember Andrew Jones, who looked like he was on his way to being historical and still like a Hall of Famer, Chipper Jones. I just want to remember when Maddox and Avery and Schmaltz and Glavine, those guys were bad. Bobby Cox did an incredible job. But Joe Torre with Paul O'Neill, Darryl Strawberry, Joe Girardi, Lewitz, Mariano Rivera, Earl Duncan, Tino Martinez, who was clutch. Bernie Williams, classical guitarist, musician, great fielder, and of course Derek Jeter, the captain. Come on now. It was a compelling come from behind 4-2. It was almost reminiscent of the Dodgers against the Yankees and the Dodgers in the 70s when they lose the first two games and come back. And it was the start of a dynasty for the Yankees. It was the start of their run. And it was really, Joe Torre did an incredible job. Ironically, he used to managed Atlanta back in the early 80s. So talk about it's just a small world after all. And anyway, incredible. Because I remember with that Atlanta team, to see a baseball game in the early 80s. And Chris Chambliss, who used to be a Yankee hero, played for the Yankees, ended up playing that first baseman. But anyway, this is an interesting question. Who was the better of the two? Well, if I go by the record and I go by the talent, I forgot to mention Cecil Field was with the Yankees team in 96 as well. If I go by talent, the ooh and the ah, it's the Mets easily in 86. But if I go by humble nickel and dime, not afraid, take your time process, it's the Yankees in 96. Because you got to remember, as great as that Mets team was, they needed every kind of penny in the water and everything to land to beat Boston because they were a 1 out away or they was close to losing. That Mets team in 86 reminds me a lot of that Miami Heat team in 2013 against the Spurs because it took some pretty powerful miracles to make that thing happen. That's what made it such a memorable series. If you think baseball and basketball, you can do a cross contamination and make it make sense. But anyway, this is a really good question because it's like, okay, it was a high dollar of a Yankee fan, are you? I can't say anything against that Mets team. They were fun to watch. They were a better team. Now, had that Mets team gone against the Yankee team in 98, we got an interesting battle because we're talking records and talents and depth. But the 96 Yankee team against that Met team. It'll have been interesting. Davey Johnson against Joe Torre's style and pitching, hitting, relief pitching, contact hitting, the little things, the details. Because I think that's the different part. But I think that Met team with Gary Carter, Strawberry, and those guys, come on now, they had a stacked squad, and they were scary talented. It's just amazing how baseball is not like basketball is something where you can run off championships because it doesn't work like that. And contrary to people talking about you buying paid, no, it's got to happen on the field. It has to work. It's not bought and paid because if that were the case, the Mets would have had the success that the Yankees had in the '90s and to the '00s, and they didn't. And that is a travesty. Just like the Oakland A's would have too. So baseball, unlike NFL or basketball in that regard, stack doesn't mean you're gonna win. Doesn't necessarily mean that. But you take when you get those magical moments, you go, wow, that team was special. But let me know who you take. New York Mets of '86 or the New York Yankees of '96. Battle of New York, decade against decade. Strawberry was in between both of them. Doc Gooden was too as well. Which do you pick as the better team? Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like and hit that membership because when you do requests like this come true, stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.